the blood of our innocent family members, their blood are still crying out in the land of Gambia, seeking for vengeance, seeking for justice. And that is what we are saying right now, that we need justice, and we need it now. Because if he set up the TRC, to bring Jammeh to book, and now he's now in bed with Jammeh's party, and now they are trying to delay the release of the report. You know, any person that can think right just must know that it is just a connival.
sama waji nak yaa ngi bëgg a yàgg ci dëkk bi sa holiday yi gudd na lool sax vacances yi yàgg na waaye dama ne naa ñibbisi ci sama réew investir wax nga dëgg sa saafara man maa ko yor jóge ñu dem topp ma ci sama waaj da ngaa bëri pexe de topp ma
xam ngeen Gambia léegi dafa open loolu moo waral global properties jóg jaay la kër doo manqué courant doo manqué ndox da ngay am pool maanaam piscine sa disposition di nga am beach bi sécurité 24 hours te soo bëggee investir aussi nga mën a investir sa réew jënd kër di ko louer hôtel yi na xam baax na waaye nag am na gan yoo xam ni dañoo bëgg bu ñu ñëwee ci réew nekk à l'aise nekk ci bërëb boo xam ne dañu am seen waañ bu ñu bëggee togg seen lekku dëkk dañu am seen salle bu mag am seen néegu bopp am seen lépp loolu yëpp ak global properties mën na nekk.
jërëjëf def leen ni man ñëw leen global properties ngeen jënd seeni kër aar seen ëllëg ak bu seen njaboot.
Are you a resident of France or its surrounding countries and still wondering how to send your packages to the Gambia? Or your properties got lost or have delay anytime you send them? French Touch is here to solve your problem. French Touch sends all kinds of goods except what cannot be fit in container. They don't only stop at sending, but they also sell goods like fridge, mattresses, good quality carpets, furniture, and many more. Inata bullo jora la karola ufanan kenna ma be wiye simento bije adadi ma na kenna ma nyulu mandanga liyo damba fanana de ikamoto ki anin ka wafi nin dadi ma fanana nyin tuma yesandiro kenyilma ika wafi ma konopal ime batandi dunu sikala ye dokula so do milyan ko sobe yata bake ifon le kela bakaso samba fela la bungo kono French Touch fela sabateri ngale kiti sila balakan gunjur birkama highway ise ka chanyo ya nino ninyin nombala alkami jeskiri.
The Ghanaian movement of Jammeh to Justice held a press conference in Ghana to show their disappointment with the Barrow administration. Mbadi mulu Ghana movement mi yalonko yalondi ko Jammeh to Justice walam ka Jammeh samba kiti yola. Iketa moti mi yalonko press conference o ke Ghana banko kan kela balamba itandi kela ni kuya itandi ko mi yalonko wala ke kan Gambia banko kan Adama Barrow la Karola. The movement is not happy with the current leader of the Republic of the Gambia for signing a coalition with the APRC, which is the party of the former president of the Republic of the Gambia, President Yahya Abdul Aziz James Jonkun Jammeh. Babil Mansa mbadi ngulu ni movement am yalon ko alota Ghana banko kan purkaje ko Ghana de on yalon ko fata Gambia banko kan isela nyanto so do e kata moti mi yalon ko e man kontani Adama Barrow la kuoto hani damanding katu mole mati mi yalon ko ya itandi ko a president Adama Barrow mole mati mi yalon ko amantare kata kuwol ke kan purkaje ko ni Ghana de on mi yalon ko fata ise justice sotno nyameng wala isa tonya sotno nyameng e ko anata ke moti fana mi yalon ko coalition ani Jammeh mi yalon ko atalon Gambia la president kotote anala party o ye bulo di nyoko na purkata coalition la video nying mbapile la di full press conference atel mi yalon ko albe video jibe ka al sa commental ya fonye ale mune mira nying koto yela ni ku ya itandi ya jako iman kontani hani demanding al comment al ya fonye ale mune mira nying koto. This is all I have for you today. This is Active TV update.
We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us right from the beginning of the advocacy for justice for our poor and vulnerable Ghanaians and West Africans who were brutally murdered on the orders of an unkind-hearted man, Yahya Jammeh, and his cohorts, as well as those who are new to the Jammeh to Justice Ghana Coalition. You will get to know more from the speakers after me. So, a very warm welcome to you all for responding positively to our invitation to come and support us in our quest to secure justice for the victims of the 2005 massacre in the Gambia. I will not take much of your time. I will call on the coordinator for the Jammeh to Justice Ghana Coalition and the Executive Director of the African Center for International Law and Accountability to give us the background and the purpose of this press conference so that you will get to know details of why we have invited you here. Please join me in welcoming Mr. William Nyako to give us the background and purpose for this press conference. Thank you.
To introduce her because she wanted to see if you will be paying attention to ask who is she. So Regina, as you see on the program, is our key project manager for the Jammeh to Justice campaign and the key person on human rights at our foremost civil society organization, CDD Ghana. So I'm standing on the good afternoon that she had already made to you, and to also say the Jammeh to Justice campaign is really grateful, especially to our friends in the media, for being there for the victims, poor victims, as we continue to seek justice and reparations for them. I more than anybody, knows the value and support you get from the media because I started in the media. I started my profession in the media back in 1995 at the Ghanaian Chronicle newspaper. Now, I know some of you are already starting to calculate my age, but this is very important for us, your continued support. So on behalf of the coalition, we welcome you again to another press conference, a very important one as that. For some of you who have not known about the Jammeh to Justice Coalition in spite of our earnest efforts, let me say a few words about the coalition. This coalition has been formed following certain new information that had come out in 2018. Previously, when the unlawful killings happened in July 2005, there was advocacy for it, which was led by persons that whose names are not new to you. Mr. Akoto Ampao, some of you know, is in the news for very good reasons. Also, Professor Kwame Kakari and Nana Oye Bampo, and other civil society organizations, including the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, which Mrs. Bampo at the time headed, the Media Foundation for West Africa, which, as you know, Professor Kakari founded, and the Africa Legal Aid, which is now headquartered in The Hague. Their great efforts contributed to bringing the issue into national discussion. Similarly, all past and present governments contributed in bringing the unlawful murder of our citizens into the public space. And as I mentioned, in 2018, a coalition of civil society organizations, including my own organization, the Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, which we cut it short for ACILA, the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, as well as the Amnesty International Ghana and Human Rights Advocacy Center, the POS Foundation and Media Foundation. And now the coalition is led by our foremost CSO, CDD Ghana. It's been formed to renew the quest for justice because there's been new evidence from our partners, Human Rights Watch, Reed Brody of Human Rights Watch, and Try International in Switzerland that uncovered information that the unlawful killings were actually undertaken by the Junglers, a paramilitary force in the Gambia that took direct orders from Yahya Jammeh. And so since then, we've launched the campaign. As you know, Yahya Jammeh himself is in Equatorial Guinea after losing the election in 2016. And a new government has been ushered in under former President Barrow. Again, from our activities, we have not just engaged with international bodies, but also with our local networks, which we've met with the Inspector General of Police on this matter, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General's office, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the presidency itself. I have been part of the delegation that met with the president in 2018 in Jubilee House, and we shared the findings of the Human Rights Watch report. We have also engaged a number of international organizations, including, of course, the United Nations Human Rights Council, particularly the Working Group on Enforced and Involuntary Disappearances. Now, this group is key because, as you know, the UN system has a group of peers under the Human Rights Council, and they can look at situations in your country and make suggestions to you as to what you should do to remedy the situation. So in February, I and Martin Tre, whom I will introduce you shortly, were part of a delegation to meet with the working group on enhanced and involuntary disappearances. That's last month issued a report backing our call for the prosecution of all the perpetrators of the crimes against our fellow citizens. So the question remains that, since we've done all of these activities, why is there a need to have this press conference? And as I mentioned, the TRLC, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, was established in 2017 under President Barrow when he took over from Jammeh. The TRLC's, among its mandates, was to investigate the human rights abuses that occurred in the Gambia during the Yahya Jammeh regime from 1994 until he left office January 2017. It was also to establish the truth. Part of their name is the Truth Commission. It was also to ensure that the reparations will be paid to those whose human rights were violated, and make recommendations for people who committed these crimes to be prosecuted. And of course, when it established the Truth Commission, it invited people to appear, just as in Ghana when President Kufuor established the commission, the National Reconciliation Commission. We argue on behalf of the victims' families that Ghanaian victims also qualify to appear before the TRLC because the killings occurred in 2005 and that we had standing. Eventually, the TRLC accepted that we should come and give testimony. I accompanied Martin Tre, ACN, Owusu Ansa, and then a Nigerian, because these killings affected about 7 citizens from West Africa. So it wasn't only Ghanaians that were killed, but Ghanaians formed the greater majority of those who were killed. So Martin gave testimony part of which I think was streamed live in Ghana, and people followed. So under the TRC Act, the TRC was to submit a report, a final report at the end of its work. The TRC ended its work sometime in May this year. They scheduled to present a report to the President Barrow as required under the Act, first July 12, 2021. They later changed it to July 30th, and then again announced that they would present the final report September 30th, last month. Unfortunately, they did not present the report. And a matter of serious concern is also that, unlike previous times when they would indicate when they would submit the report, they said that they were postponing the presentation of the report indefinitely, so at their own time. Significantly, you know, these things happen in a political context. So 3 weeks, this is the first week in September, there was an announcement by former President Yahya Jammeh's party, the party is APRC, that he had formed an alliance with the MPP, not Ghana's MPP, but the MPP, who's leading candidate now, is serving person President Barrow. So here you are, where we expect that the TRC recommendations would include that Yahya Jammeh, whom the testimonials at the TRC by soldiers and others who were involved in the massacre, we expect that the TRC would make a recommendation that former President Yahya Jammeh should be brought to account. After all, these were the egregious violations of human rights during its era in 1994 until January 2017. So here you are, the president seeking re-election has formed an alliance with Yahya Jammeh's party, whom we expect that the TRC will make recommendations for his prosecution. Under the TRC Act, once the report is submitted to President Barrow, he must also, submit the report to the National Assembly, the Parliament, the National Assembly, as well as make the copies available to the United Nations Secretary General, ECOWAS, and other regional bodies. This will be within 30 days. So after the 30 days, the president or the administration is required to indicate within 6 months how it is going to implement the recommendations. So you can imagine that if an alliance has been formed between the president, MPP's party, and APRC, it raises serious questions as to, first, the commitment of the president to implement these recommendations when they go out. As we understand, there have been a number of conditions in the alliance between President Barrow's party and Jammeh's party, one of which includes that they should allow Jammeh to return. The right to return to your country is a right. A citizen should not be prevented from coming to your country. So Yahya Jammeh has that right to come. But in the past, the Barrow administration had indicated that if Jammeh were to return to the Gambia, he's free to do so, but he will be subjected to prosecution. Now that obviously appears to be off the table, and most likely, if that happens, he's likely to be given amnesty, even though under the TRC Act, they cannot recommend amnesty for egregious violations of human rights, including crimes against humanity. And the killings, the unlawful killings that occurred in the Gambia, particularly relating to the migrants, really squares fully into those crimes for which he cannot be given amnesty. But that's the state of play. And so we thought that given these developments, and with a responsibility to the victims' families, as well as our media partners and other stakeholders, it was important that we provided this update, and also to get the victims themselves to tell you how these developments are impacting them. When you are seeking justice for victims of human rights abuses, victims come first. They are the ones in whose name that any effort is being made. So I'm going to call on Mr. Martin Tre, who some of you know is a survivor of the unlawful killings. When we went round to do an investigation, I traveled with Martin on behalf of the coalition, using my former skills as an investigative journalist at the time. We traveled to the Gambia. We followed events, Gambia, Senegal, Togo, Nigeria, and came up with a documentary. I have heard him tell his story many times, but every time I tried to hold back tears. Anyway, so, and I call on Martin to speak on behalf of the victims' families, and then we would have the victims, everybody seated right here is a victim, somebody who lost. So I now call on Martin Tre to come and tell us what the victims' reaction to these developments are. Thank you very much. Invite Martin.
Coalition is concerned. Good afternoon, my fellow survivors and victims' families, friends of media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we have come to you in our continuous struggle for justice and reparation for unlawful killings of our fellow Ghanaians and other West African migrants in the Gambia in 2005. On behalf of the survivors, victims' families, and other West Africans, including Ghanaians, Gambians, Nigerians, Togolese, Ivorians, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and Malians, who suffered unlawful human rights abuse at the direction of Yahya Jammeh, I thank you for accepting to come and cover our press conference and to give voice to such poor, marginalized, and unranked Senegal to seek greener pastures in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, we regrettably took an unapproved route because as poor people, we will not qualify for a visa at any of the embassies in our respective countries. We were pursuing what every human being wants for themselves and their families, a better life. Many of our families took out loans. Some used their cocoa farms as collateral for the loans they took to support our journey, because they believe that if we were successful, they will also be successful in getting a better life for themselves. Friends of media, what none of us knew was that majority of us will be immediately executed on the order of Yahya Jammeh over several days without being taken to court in July 2005. Since then, we have been pursuing justice for our fallen compatriots. Ladies and gentlemen, following the defeat of Yahya Jammeh in 2016 Gambia election, the Adama Barrow administration established the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, TRRC, in 2017. Among the TRRC's mandates was to investigate the human rights violation that occurred during the Yahya Jammeh administration from 1994 to 2016, make recommendation for the perpetrators to be brought to justice, and recommend compensation for the victims and their families, and recommend compensation for the victims and their families. In addition, the TRRC was to submit its final report to President Barrow National Assembly of Gambia, UN Secretary General, ECOWAS and African Union, Friends of Media, without the help of with the help of the Jammeh to Justice Ghana Coalition and our international partner, Human Rights Watch, some of us traveled to Gambia and testified before the TRRC. I testify as well. Also, testimonies by the report is a deliberate attempt to deny us the justice we so deserve. We call on the National Assembly of Gambia, UN Secretary General, Chairman of ECOWAS, Chairman of African Union, and indeed all the stakeholders in international justice to call on TRRC to release the final report as a matter of urgency. The work cannot be perpetuity. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Agenda. The floor is open for victims, survivors, and victims' families to share their story, to tell us exactly how they feel about the delay, excessive delay the TRC is actually displaying in releasing the report. So we call on Robert Essien, who himself is a survivor. He actually suffered imprisonment, unlawful imprisonment for several years in the Gambia. Robert.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Essien. I'm the one of the survivor, and I'm here to stand for the survivors' family and the victims. I paid my money, about $1,500, to travel from Senegal to Spain. And we have about 89 passengers at Gambia. And we are using a Gambia agent, which is called Lami Tungura. And then we are on the sea. We came to reach Gambia Harbor, and we saw a lot of police people. Then I fall inside the sea. Then I swim to the shore. Before I swim to the shore, then they came to arrest me. I'm there for about 11 months, good 11 months, without outside. And I heard that they have killed a lot of my people that I'm making a journey with them. Every day, I ate only one. 3 o'clock, if I ate rice, a small rice, then the following day, I have to eat. 3 o'clock. Every day, I ate only once. I was arrested. Good 11 months. So I want to know whether TRIC have interest on what Yahya Jammeh is doing. And my president, what are you doing? And if they know they don't want to read the report, then we need our dead bodies. Because human being is very important than money. And sometimes I believe ECOWAS and amnesty. But what are they doing? Then now I don't have any trust. Now money is important than human being. And blood, you can make blood. So we need our dead bodies. If TRC have interest on what Yahya Jammeh is doing, if they have interest, we need our dead bodies. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much.
Branyako, abusua aka, yɛda mo nyinaa ase. Me nua ne Richmond anɔkye. Mɛkyiri ma mienu no. Yɛfiri Asante Asɔkɔre. Na me nua no te Kumasi Tafo. na mmerɛ kakra ɔyɛ n'adwene sɛ ɔtu kwan na nsɛm deɛ menim sɛ yɛaka no nyinaa wɔ radio so ama no nyinaa moate nti yɛde ho abooboo bebree na mmerɛ duru sɛ nhwehwɛmu no ada adi ama Gambia mpanimfoɔ no bi bae ma yɛn nyinaa yɛ nsɛmtwerɛfoɔ nhyiamu wɔ ha wɔsum wɔ ha yɛsu ma no ɔno nso ɔsum bi yɛde anim sɛ wɔrekɔ no mmuaeɛ papa bi firi akyire bɛba na akyire yɛtee sɛ president no atu abadwakuo bi a wɔyɛ hwehwɛmu na yɛde anim sɛ nhwehwɛmu no mmuaeɛ papa firi akyire bɛba ɛfiri sɛ wɔn kum no wɔn no wɔn abɛtena ɔman nyinaa wiase nyinaa fidie kɛseɛ so aka nokorɛ sɛ ɛyɛ nokorɛ sɛ wɔn adi ehwamɔ wɔn adi awu papa na adan president adan abadwakuo no a moteeɛ no akɔti sɛn tie nnɛ yɛsrɛ mo mediafoɔ mo mmra bɔnten momfrɛ wɔn mo mmra bɔnten na wɔmɛyi ano na wɔmfa report na wɔmbɛgye yɛn mu nsɛm no wɔmfa yɛ adeɛ ɛmfa mmerɛ yɛn yɛni abere papa me nua oguta nkwara nnan adan na yɛ Jammeh wɔde me to esam saa me nkɔ m'anim da titi nyanka gu me so mesrɛ mo mediafoɔ megye mu di paa megye mu di menim sɛ de mo adwuma yɛ sitiɛ nti ɛnnɛ megyina ha adeɛ kakra meka m'ani ataataa ne suo papa na yɛ a mo nso bi ba yɛ na emu ɔyɛ o emu ɔya papa ɔgya ne maame kɔhwɛ bɛrima paa.
So all that he left behind 4 children, and it has not been easy for her. She has actually been struggling to take care of these 4 children. So she's actually pleading that those who have powers should call on the TRRC to release the report so that she will know exactly what is in the report and the justice that will be given to her brother. Thank you very much, Auntie Kunedu. We will call on Mr. Amu, who also lost his father in the Gambia massacre. Mr. Amu.
This is the first time myself I've been talking publicly. I'm the firstborn of Mr. Enoch Amo. He was one of the people that were massacred, and one of the reasons why many times I avoided my friends about talking about my father's situation was when Mr. Martin gave the description of how they massacred my father, that it was my father's blood that made the rope that was tying him slippery for him to escape and remove his head. He was trying to remove my father's rope, but my father has a long nose. You can see myself, I have a big nose. That's how my father has his nose like. He was trying to pull the rope, but it couldn't get off his nose. You see, and how the military man used the cutlass to cut his shoulder, and blood was oozing out, and he was able to escape. And I have come to believe I'm going to pay for it if action is not taken, because blood will always cry. I know that is the blood of our fathers, some of us, our uncles, family members, that drove these military people to give that testimony. So appalling, so wicked, high-level wickedness in the heart of a man by the name Yahya Jammeh. All we are trying to say to the TRLC and to His Excellency, Mr. Adama Barrow, is that we are still in pain. All that we are trying to tell Mr. Adama Barrow and the TRLC is that we are still grieving. All that we are trying to tell the TRLC and Mr. Adama Barrow is that the blood of our innocent family people, family members, their blood are still crying out in the land of Gambia, seeking for vengeance, seeking for justice. And that is what we are saying right now, that we need justice, and we need it now. Because if he set up the TRLC, to bring Jammeh to book, and now he's now in bed with Jammeh's party, and now they are trying to delay the release of the report. You know, any person that can think right just must know that it is just a connival. The fact that they are delaying the report shows that they are just conniving to delay the report so that he will be able to go back to presidency and win the elections in December with the help of Jammeh's party and everything that the lawyers have stood with us to labor for over the years. Since 2005, I was 18 years in secondary school, Kumasi High School, when I lost my daddy. I couldn't tell any of my classmates about it. I couldn't tell because I couldn't just open my mouth to talk about it. It was so sad an event. It was so sad. We've been through a lot. My mother has been through a lot. We are 3 boys. 3 boys. I'm the eldest. It's not easy. Look at this woman at the back there. She's handicapped. She's handicapped. She lost her husband. She's handicapped. She has a lot of children. A lot of ladies, girls. They have been struggling. Going through a lot. These people have come out. These military people have come out. They said at first that they were rogue elements. Now the military, they have come out. They have said it. All kinds of evidences. What else do we need to tell? Why is Mr. Adama Barrow power drunk? Because I believe, if anybody else doesn't believe, I believe that he's conniving with the TRLCs to hold back the report. He's tying their hands one way or the other just because he wants to retain power. But he must know that power has expiry date. Power has a expiry date. And one day, maybe his children, maybe somebody in his family might be killed ruthlessly, might be killed wickedly, or anybody that is involved. So he must sit up. We are calling for the release of the report now, the recommendations now, justice now. That is what we need. Thank you.
Barrow won the election. Now, this Adama Barrow is now trying to team up with a person who didn't want to give him power so that he can win the next election. And that definitely means that he will not like to put Yahya Jammeh in trouble. So if the pressure does not come from our government, for that matter, ECOWAS or African Human Rights Court or something like that, if you depend only on Gambia, what Adama Barrow is doing right now means that he will protect Yahya Jammeh. Initially, it seemed like Yahya Jammeh would never come to Gambia, but now he's opening the gate for him to come. So why will he ask him to come and support him to win power and put him into trouble? So let us look at what you are doing in respect of talking to our Foreign Affairs Ministry, the government, ECOWAS, and other regional bodies who can also come in. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions and then we can respond to them. The floor is still open for questions.
The issue and what are the comments and the actions he has been taking so far?
I want to find out, Adama Barrow has been mentioned severally as his connivance with Jammeh to delay the response or the release of the report. But maybe I wasn't earlier here from the onset, but has there been any official position coming from Adama Barrow's presidency concerning this? Has he shown any express interest in it so far? If we could get it from the CDD. Thank you.
Relating to engagement with other bodies other than just waiting on the Gambia. So there's a question about, I'll take this question about engagement with ECOWAS, for example, ECOWAS chairman. As I mentioned earlier, incidentally, it happened that the ECOWAS chair is our own president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whom, as you know, was also the foreign affairs minister. At the time, it happened in 2005, and indeed, he was the first Ghanaian among a delegation that led a delegation to the Gambia during the time of President Kufuor. So he has been very much seized of this matter. In May 2018, when our international partners, including Human Rights Watch and Tri International, were going to release their report, they came over to Ghana and we went to see the president. And we disclosed the information that was coming. The president expressed great interest in the matter because this was a matter which was dear to his heart. He was there first time and followed what happened, and he actually helped in the release of a few of them who had been kept in the police station before some of them were killed. Subsequently, the president, in a statement issued by the Information Ministry, said that the president was studying the report which Human Rights Watch and TRIA had put together, and that at the appropriate time it would indicate what he intends to do. Nothing happened from May 2018, and nothing happened, but in December 2019, there was a press briefing at the presidency where the president addressed the press. And a reporter from EIB asked the president that at the time when the ECOWAS issued a report, the ECOWAS did a fact-finding. ECOWAS concluded, almost inconclusively, that the killings were done by rogue elements not authorized by the state. So in international law or even domestic law, it's an agent principle. Once ECOWAS said that the killings were not done at the direction of the state, even though it happened on the territory, the matter became somewhat of a mishmash until Ghana and the Gambia signed a memorandum of understanding, kind of closing the matter. But in that memorandum of understanding, they indicated that if new evidence came forward which showed who had killed them, they would go Ghana and Gambia will go after it. So it was on the back of this that the EIB reporter said that since the soldiers had come out at the TRC to say that they did it on the orders of Yahya Jammeh, what are you doing about this, Mr. President? The answer that the president gave, when the victims, they saw it themselves, they were very disappointed because the president said that he knew when he went that the state was involved. However, nobody should expect him to go to Equatorial Guinea and bring Yahya Jammeh to account, that he's left it to the Gambia. That was quite disappointing. So he's the ECOWAS chairman. Perhaps it is another opportunity for us to renew this call with him, but the victims had expressed lack of confidence in the way that in the manner that the president had not done the matter. But we will re-engage. There was the question about whether some have expressed a concern that Adama Barrow had allegedly connived. These are victims who, when they are dealing with situations, of course, what they see and hear are things that they would articulate. And it is very difficult being in the shoes of victims because the chronology of events, the excessive delay, third time, and now indefinite, and a political alliance. Nobody, not even Gambians, would have thought that President Barrow would enter into an alliance with Yahya Jammeh. So at best, I would say I'll leave it to individual analysis and decisions as they make. But this is not a good signal to the victims. And I think the TRC and the administration should have released this report. It is the duty of the TRC to release this report. They concluded the hearings in May. We are in October. And now there is no indication as to when the report will be released. Gambia has an election in December. After the election, it's anybody's game. Pressure. Let me answer the last one, and then my colleague. Yeah, it is in a matter which involves several countries. So, for example, not only were Ghanaians involved, Gambians were involved as well, Senegalese, Togolese, Nigerians, Ivorians. One of the things we have been doing is not just focusing on engaging with Ghana officials, but we've also been engaging with foreign governments. I came back from Nigeria not too long ago on this matter. We are continuing to network, but even more important, we have been engaging the United Nations, whom, as I mentioned, issued a report last month after we had been to Geneva to ask for the Human Rights Council through the Working Group on Enhanced and Involuntary Disappearances to back our call for the prosecution of Yahya Jammeh. Subsequently, they went to the Gambia, took a trip to Gambia, and learned for themselves and issued a report back in the call for the prosecution of all perpetrators, including Yahya Jammeh, who we heard from the TRC proceedings that many people had come to say that it was at their direction. Thank you. I hope these answer some of your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nyako. Any more questions? Comments, suggestions, clarifications?
Temitia ni se Baba Jammeh amaye kuno. Ojama kolaba komeba be manu no. Timise empanyimfo se momoye na yenya atentene.
Actually looking for an excessive delay by the TRRC means that getting the justice that we are asking for will also be delayed, and justice delayed is justice what? Denied. So on this note, I would like to thank all of you for taking time off your busy schedules to come and support this advocacy for justice for these vulnerable, marginalized groups. And we hope you carry the stories out so that those who are supposed to help in securing justice for these victims will do the necessary things for us to get the justice for them. I thank you all for coming.